Greetings, Keishlings. I'm here with a special power-up video today. Due to the release of the Steven Universe movie in less than a month, and it's been almost a month since the trailer dropped, I thought, let's discuss like possible power-ups that Steven will have moving forward into the series. You know, maybe we'll see them in the movie, or we'll see them in season 6 and maybe beyond. Who knows? You know, the franchise is nowhere close to being dead, and you know, Steven is always gaining new abilities anyway, so why not pile on to the idea? So yeah. Anyway, with all my power up videos, I do equipment, general power up concepts, super moves, that kind of deal. And Steven is no different. So, yeah. For equipment, I came up with two different ideas. First is a simple, like, bag of watermelon seeds or a pouch. And I came up with two different ideas. One is the official idea where it looks like a watermelon Steven patterning, or one where it looks like Steven kind of in pouch form. I thought it was cute. So I'll show you both. Basically, it's so that he can hold watermelon seeds. This plays a big role a lot later. So, anyway, moving on. Next is the Star Guitar. Or the Guitar of the Stars, or the Universal Guitar. I don't really know what to go with it. I think I'd just go Star Guitar. Simple. It's inspired by Timmy Turner's like guitar wand thing from the Wishology series. Also, the fact that star guitars are a thing. And I thought, hey, that one scene where Greg and Steven are like jamming out at some kind of event or sometime during the movie trailer, I thought, hey, Steven's playing a guitar, why not give him his own special guitar? And it could be made out of like materials from not just Earth, but from far away. You know, he has, you know, now connection with Homeworld, and they can bring extraterrestrial materials to give him an almost indestructible or very durable guitar, which then he can use as an axe, if you will, you know, so that he can go kind of axe and shield action, you know, in case Connie's not around with her new sword. And plus, it would just be nice for him to finally get away from the ukulele now that he's getting older and bigger, you know. I think it was even mentioned at one point that it was only supposed to be like a temporary thing, just to get him into music, because it was proper size for him back in the day when he was a little kid during that one like full like theme song video and whatnot. So I thought it's time to upgrade our boy. Next is general concepts, which this one is probably one of the first most consistent abilities we've seen in the series, and I thought let's expand upon it. Bubble warping. Basically, you know, you bubble a corrupted gem that they've just poofed, and then they would whisk it away to the temple. Well, what if Steven, because he is Pink Diamond, a diamond class gem, that he can like either rewrite his gem's code, or using, say, maybe bismuth or technicians, or well, bismuth mixed with maybe Peridot or other technicians on Homeworld can make like little keystones that then Steven can hone in on, and then it doesn't just go to the temple. And then he can say like, oh, I gotta get my friends out of here, emergency bubbling. So then he bubbles everyone, and then they just get whisked away. And like, say these keystones or whatever could be situated in like, say, Greg's van, or the car wash, or maybe town hall, you know, just in case there's something going on. There's like another invasion of a different species, or say in the case of the movie when that gem, mysterious gem, first appeared, and like Steven's like, oh crap, I gotta go tell the people, you know, before things got as bad as they did. And you know, he just bubble warps over to the town hall, and it's like, we've got an invasion. Let's prepare, kind of deal. So yeah, so emergency teleport. It would also give access to, or a different way of teleporting when there aren't warp pads available. So yeah. Next is airwalk or air jump, or both really, and or. So this is combining his floating with Pink Stevens walking on air that we saw in Change Your Mind. You know, after the no, or no, it wasn't no. I'm thinking of Caesar from freaking Planet of the Apes. It was she's gone. So yeah, you know, telling off White Diamond. So that was great, and he just like the crater formed under him, but then he was just walking on air, and like I can't believe I hadn't thought about something about that prior. But then I was rewatching a scene, and I was like, I need to include this. I would assume this is maybe an advanced form of floating, but who's to say? It's probably a separate ability. Well, anyway, basically, Steven would be able to, like, say, float up and jump high up into the air, and then he is essentially making a cushion that he can just indefinitely stay on, and then he can just jump from that, so he's got, like, invisible platforming capabilities. It basically would be like Geppo from One Piece. I just figured, hey, it gives Steven great mobility, and it then diversifies what he's able to do. You know, he's not just stuck on the ground. Next is human fusion. This idea is an expansion upon what we see with Stevani, you know, the Stephen Connie fusion. And, you know, now that we know that Steven can fuse with a human, he can potentially fuse with any human or multiple humans. More on that later. Well, obviously he would need some kind of, like, a connection with them, you know, a decent relationship with them. Well, who's the one human that he has the best relationship with? Greg, his father. So I present to you Steg. I may or may not have a mock-up of that. But anyway, basically it's Greg's overall size and shape, but with like Steven overlay. You know, like it'll have Greg's tank top, but it'll look more like Steven's new blue shirt. Like it'll have his new pink jacket like over his shoulders, like a marine from, or not a marine, but an admiral from One Piece. Still have the long hair of Greg, but it'll be more poofy like Steven's, and it'll be, you know, darker shade. Of course, you'll have Steven's gem, and it'll have Greg's pants, Steven's flip-flops, that kind of deal. So I thought, hey, it works. And as for weapon, you know, still have to use the shield, but given that Greg has, you know, and Steven for that matter as well, their musical talents combined, and they would be amplified because of fusion, you then could shrink one of his shields and play it like a drum, creating like a sound attack, just like during Ocean Gem, where like Steven like dissolved or destabilized those water clones that Lapis had made when, you know, the water had hit his shield and then it just resonated out from it. And then, depending on how many arms he has, he could maybe do a bongo style. If he's got like 4 arms, you know, tuck 2 small shields under and then bang on them and all that kind of deal. Could be fun. Next, of human fusion is a variant of it, Human Colossus. This is a fusion formed by combining Steven with 2 or more humans. The fact that, like I said, he could fuse potentially with just like any other, you know, person that he has a relationship with. And he has a relationship with virtually everybody, a good relationship with virtually everybody in Beach City. So, say like this, and I even thought of a scenario where this kind of plays out in a funny way. They're like at Beach Palooza, and they're like doing a conga line with everybody in town, and they're all happy, and his gem starts glowing, and then they just start fusing together into this giant humanoid colossus. And I thought that would be funny. But where this comes into play is, all the combined attributes, they get amplified. So you have the intelligence, the raw physical abilities, the individual skills, all merging into one giant being that I would say, if you combined all the members of Beach City, they'd probably be about the size of Alexandrite, maybe? Or maybe a little bigger. Who knows? Depending on the sheer volume of them. Who's to say? So yeah, you combine them all together, they become a giant, and then, hey, the movie facilitates this in a great way. Like, Steven needs help, getting the extractor out of the ground. We saw him trying to do that already with some success. But what if, we don't see the other gems around, so they can't help? Well, what if he gets the other citizens of Beach City to help? And then, they would want to help. It's their city, too. So, And then this just makes for an interesting concept. Next is gemstone creation. We saw, at the time, it was Pink Diamond, creating little gemstones. And it's like, okay, what if Steven eventually acquires his ability? I mean, he has all of her other abilities and continues to gain more as the series goes on, so this would be a no-brainer, right? Now, where this becomes useful is because of Steven's weird aging, he can manipulate his age to how he wants, and because of his lack of education, he's going to need some form of income as he gets older. I mean, Greg's not getting any younger, so you can't depend on him for, paying for Steven's stuff anymore, or at a certain point. So I could see him creating these gems. It's like, yeah, okay, got a nice ruby here for you. I'm selling it. And then Garnet starts freaking out. It's like, oh, my ruby. Or something that would be funny. And it's like, nope, not you. And, just selling non-sentient gems to jewelers, or making jewelry out of them so that, just sell it on the boardwalk or whatever. Real simple. Then he can become Tiger Billionaire, a little upgrade on that too. But yeah. Next is plant constructs. With his Chrolokinesis, that's what you call the plant manipulation power that he has. I would have just called it plant kinesis, but whatever. This allows him to make various objects, say, field of thorny rose bushes, or vines for traps. He's using his spit, obviously, to simulate the growth of an existing plant, or say he carries the seeds around, like the watermelon Stevens, so he could produce those kinds of things. Or manipulating a tree so that it becomes a source of barriers, it grows out its branches, or it bends or something, or it supports something that's about to fall, things like that. Next is watermelon animal creation. I could see after he goes to Watermelon Island to study the wildlife, because we see the Watermelon Stevens have apparently made watermelon animals. How? Don't know. That's why you need to study that ecosystem. So yeah, once he goes that, he can maybe reproduce the effects, and then he can create his own fauna, such as the dogs, the parrots, the shark, and the horse that we see during that episode. Or not during that episode, but in later installments. I think it was Alone Together when he transferred. Yeah. Anyway, so and they could be used for various uses, like the dog for tracking, the parrot for flight if he can somehow transfer his floating powers over to it. And basically what he's doing is he's mind transferring into these things so that he kind of has like full access to their abilities, but some of them could still be used separately without his direct control. Like I said, the parrot for flight, so that he has like a bird's eye view, or for reconnaissance, and a shark for underwater rescue, reconnaissance, just having fun in the water. Same thing goes for the parrot with flight, just having fun in the sky. And then we saw a horse, which I thought he could use this to ride around on, form of transport, just a fun form of transport, or a beast of burden, like he's going on a trip and he makes a few of them to carry their stuff, or say Greg's van stalls on the highway and he needs a few horses to bring him back home. Next is the Bismuth upgrade. Bismuth has upgraded the 3 core gym members' weapons, so why not Steven? So I envision this going 2 different ways. It could either be a spiked shield, where the spikes are on the front, so once it's formatted in there, he can just produce like spikes on the face of the shield, and then, he can use it as an offensive thing when he hits people with it, or they hit him. Kind of like Rocky Helmet from Pokemon. Or it has on the edge of the shield, and then when he does his like little Captain America shield throw, it then kind of has like a bladed edge to it, so when it makes impact, it's going to do damage. So yeah, simple but effective. And for the final thing for general concepts is weapon generation. This, due to Pink Steven, like how it's shown, and like when he made his shield, and then combine that with how the diamonds have not exhibited like true weapons, I'm starting to wonder if maybe they can actually kind of format like basic weaponry to whatever they want. Like, oh, he can make a shield, but he could also format that into like, like collapsing like the geometric shapes into something else, like a club, or maybe some kind of blaster. I don't know. That one's highly speculative, but hey, it's fun. Next up is super moves, and basically to go along with like the watermelon idea, like how about a legion of Watermelon Stevens? You spit out a few of them. He can then use them for guerrilla warfare to scout out stuff, like, and then if they're having to do like real strategic planning against an enemy, he can transfer his mind over to one, like individual groups, like to their leader Melon, and then like sketch out the plans because they can't talk, and then they're like, oh yeah, we know what to do, and it's like then he transfers over to the next group and so on, and then they're all in on the plan, and then he can do this in real time in case certain things don't work out. Legion of Melon. Next up is Steven Bomb. This is basically where he floats up high into the air, creates a shield underneath himself, and then just drops the bomb. With great force, he would make quite the impact. And it's named after the Steven Bombs on Cartoon Network, when they do 5 episodes over the course of a week. Next is Shield Saw. This is using the Bismuth upgrade if it's on the edge of the shield, so that when he does throw it like Captain America, it now is like a circular saw. Simple, effective, yet again. Next is Juggle Pops. We saw in, I want to say it was Alone Together as well, but some of the names are, all over in my head. I'll have it up on screen. But we saw during that weird, like, mental flashback kind of deal where it was Pink Diamond technically, but it looked like Steven, and he was entertaining Pink Pearl at the time, and he was juggling, and I thought, okay, if Pink Diamond can juggles, then Steven could learn how to do it too. And then this combines the aspect of something we saw in Nightmare Hospital, where he popped his bubble shield, and it had a knockback effect. So basically, he makes like little bubbles, he juggles them around, and then he starts throwing them, and then he explodes them. So they're kind of grenade-ish in a way, but they don't really cause damage. It's more of a like distraction or a way to gain ground, you know. So simple. And then basically, finally, we have Mega Melon Man. Yes. This is basically the highest point of the Watermelon Stevens. Basically, using his Chrolokinesis yet again and his mind transfer, he, like, first he uses his spit to, like, make a giant field of Watermelon Stevens. But before they animate, he mind transfers over to one of them while they're all still connected. Well, then basically he just starts forming a giant watermelon body out of the various Stevens. Kind of like think of the gnomes from Gravity Falls, where they all, like, they're small guys, but then they make a bigger body when they combine together. So yeah, but they're all still tethered by their vines. And, you know, like, you just make this giant watermelon that can maybe self-heal, because they'll still have some of his saliva innate in them, so maybe they can heal, maybe not. Don't know, it depends on how advanced his healing has become by that point. But either way. And then, yeah, you just giant kaiju watermelon. So yeah, for larger threats and that kind of stuff, in case Steven's alone, and, you know, like, if he doesn't have any allies with him to fuse with to become a giant kaiju and himself, he can then do it by himself, you know. So yeah, that's about all I have. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Anything I, you know, was interesting to you, any ideas you've had. But yeah, let me know all that stuff down below. And yeah, I stream on Twitch 3 days a week, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, upload them to YouTube the next day in that cycle. And I have a manga podcast with Griever. It'll be on his channel next week, because we were too busy. We did it earlier in the weeks. It's on my channel. I do the odds, he does the evens, so we switch back on who hosts and on each channel. And yeah, easy to find. I did a live reaction to Zim, the Enter the Plorpus, the Invader Zim special that's coming out. Go check that out. And yeah, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Here's my links down below, all that good stuff, so that you know when I'm going live for my various things and all that good stuff. So, until next time, Quiche-lings, roll out!